announcement. Is Suni here or is Sally? Two of our spoken word artists from New Orleans. I'm not sure where they are.
No worries, I'll be here, I promise. Anybody got a spoken word?
Huh? Canada's like the Netherlands. Canada's great. Emira, come on up. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I want to acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional land of the Anacostan people of the Piscataway tribe. This morning, let us acknowledge our sisters and brothers in California who are being threatened by fires up and down the state, fueled by climate-related drought and high winds. Hospitals are filling with people suffering from respiratory problems due to the smoke. One big California newspaper wrote, and I quote, "The fires have intensified fears that parts of California had become too dangerous to inhabit." California, too dangerous to inhabit. We read about this in Asia, in parts of India. But this is happening right now in this country. In the last decade, over 100 million trees in California have died due to prolonged drought. Sonoma County just had the largest evacuation in its history. People in San Francisco Bay are having to wear masks, but they're opening their homes to the most vulnerable evacuees. These climate emergencies offer us a chance to choose between succumbing to the hatred that our president is spewing and turning on one another, or coming together in shared humanity and supporting each other. Let's always choose love and empathy and our shared humanity. And I just want to give a shout out to the Emma Willard alumni who are here. Thank you so much. Emma Willard is my school where I went to high school for 4 years. It's all women's school. Emma Willard was the first woman inducted into the Hall of Fame in the 1800s. It's very fitting that you all are here because today we're focusing on women and climate change. As the former president of Ireland, Mary Robinson, said, we're facing a man-made crisis, and it requires a feminist solution. You see, women and the earth are deeply bound together, physically and spiritually. Women bear the brunt of climate change, and women hold many of the solutions to climate change. In developing countries, it's women and girls who plant the crops and harvest them and fetch the water and chop the wood to help their families survive. And when there is a climate crisis, the crops fail and women sometimes have to walk for days to find water and wood, if they ever even find them. Women's work becomes so much harder in the face of climate crisis. And did you know that women make up 80% of climate refugees, people who are displaced because of the climate crisis? And yet women are usually the last to be rescued when there is extreme climate events. Research shows that there are significant increases in rape, sexual assault, and domestic violence in places experiencing climate-related disasters like floods or earthquakes, or fracking, or mining. When oil pipelines and other fossil fuel projects are under construction, it brings in an influx of thousands of men into rural areas and on indigenous reservations where they live in man camps. In the tar sands of Alberta, Canada, and in the Bakken oil fields of the Great Lake regions, there's been a surge in violent crimes and aggravated sexual assault. North Dakota has at least 125 cases of missing Native women, although the numbers are probably a lot higher. But we don't keep any official records of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and that has to change. We cannot ignore the connection of oil extraction and pipeline construction to growing numbers of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. But women lead the way to climate solutions. In the developing world, it's women who are the early adopters of new agricultural techniques. In the face of climate-related disasters, it's women who are the effective community organizers and caregivers. Women tend to be the entrepreneurs of green energy and the decision makers at home. And for all these reasons and more, women offer valuable insights and solutions into better managing the risks of climate change. And in the United States, from Alaska to Louisiana to Standing Rock, women are piloting community-based clean energy programs and sustainable disaster response efforts. And did you know that the countries with higher female parliamentary representation are more prone to ratify international environmental treaties? Tells us something about how we should vote. Yet women's contributions are often overlooked in humanitarian and climate actions, and their practical needs are often forgotten, and this must change. I want to bring two women up who are my climate buddies. These are the women I was with in Big Sur over the Labor Day weekend when I made the decision to move to D.C. Rosanna Arquette has acted since she was a young girl in many films and TV shows, but she's particularly proud of her offbeat roles in independent films like After Hours, Nobody's Fool, and Desperately Seeking Susan, for which she won a British Academy Award. Rosanna was nominated for an Emmy for her work in The Executioner's Song. And Catherine Keener, a true original, has been nominated for an Oscar for her roles in Being John Malkovich and Capote. You saw her in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. You saw her in Get Out. And she's currently starring with Jim Carrey in Kidding. Catherine is Lebanese, Scottish, and Cherokee. Come on up. Come on. Hey. My climate buddies. It actually has happened, right? We talked about it in Big Sur, and here we are.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see you give birth to this.
Am I staying up here?
Stay with me.
Oh, sorry.
We're a family. I would like to say that every human life is dependent on having and honoring our planet. We breathe her air, we drink her water, we bask in her sunlight, yet we have violated and abused Mother Earth. We have ignored her cries for help. She too is a survivor, and we must believe her. Women are innately connected to our planet's ability to grow and to give life. We recognize that, and we have shared trauma that needs nurturing and healing. Mother Earth is me too, and it is our responsibility to listen and protect her by embracing natural solutions. And a planetary health diet. Leave fossil fuels in the ground. And restrict emissions. As an eco-feminist, I am dedicated to all the ways we can heal our planet.
Beautiful.
Okay? So, I think that Rachael Carmona. Rachael is a first-generation Mexican-American who grew up in the north side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and she earned her associate's degree from Madison Area Technical College, her bachelor's degree in African-American Studies from the University of Wisconsin, and her master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, where she focused on leadership development and nonprofit management. A recognized expert on building transformational online and offline communities and networks, Rachael has led leadership positions with Amnesty International, Women for Women International, Girl Scouts of the USA, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, Wisconsin Public Television, and with the mayor's offices in Memphis, Tennessee, and Somerville, Massachusetts. Rachael currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer for Women's March.
I wasn't expecting all that, y'all. I will also share that I'm not a morning person, and this is still morning for me. So I just want us to all shake it off right now. How y'all doing? I think you could do better than that. How y'all doing? I have high expectations and slippery fingers. I will tell you that coming from Milwaukee, someone like me never expected to be on a stage like this with folks like this. It's just not what folks from the north side of Milwaukee do. And I feel like a lot of us in this group are having that feeling of feeling like we didn't ever expect to be here. We never expected to be in a reality where a square mileage in California, the size 5 times the size of Manhattan, is burning as we speak. In the next 30 years, 5 global cities will be underwater completely. And in all of those instances, women disproportionately bear the burden. And so as we're thinking about how we move forward from here, some of us are from Milwaukee, some of us are not, some of us are from the coasts where flooding and water will become an issue. Some of us are from places where fires will become an issue. Some of us are from places where immigration crisis is happening in part because climate change has necessitated people migrating from industries that no longer are viable. So no matter where you're from, this affects you. And of course, we know that women in society bear these burdens disproportionately, as we're wondering if our families and our children are going to have clean air to breathe and water to drink. It's easy to get caught up in policy and say, well, what about this policy versus that policy and the gritty nitty-gritty here? And I always tell people, you know, my first time being an activist, I was a child. And I went outside from my house with a can of Coke. And my friend said, ew, Coke supports apartheid in South Africa. I did not know where South Africa was. I did not really fully understand what apartheid meant. But I knew it was wrong. And I stopped drinking Coke to my mother's chagrin. She was really not happy with me for many years. But I stopped drinking it. And so we don't need to hold a public policy degree. We don't need to understand all of the ins and outs. We need to know fundamentally what is right and what is wrong. That's it. So what's important here is not who we are, not where we're from, not what we know. It doesn't matter if you're an award-winning actress, if you are a nonprofit person. It doesn't matter if you're a mom who cares. It doesn't matter if you are a banker who cares. It doesn't matter where you're from. What matters is you're standing here right now today, and it matters that you keep coming back. Now, I would be remiss if I did not note that in part our escalating climate catastrophe is at the hands of the current occupier of the Oval Office. We will be marching to impeach and remove Trump next week, next month, next year, and every day until he is out. Go to remove45.org for more details, and there are people here with these handbills here. And what I will leave you with is saying, look around in this group of people. These are the people that are going to save the world. It's not some faraway heroine, a hero. It's not some policy that somebody's writing at McKinsey. It's just you all. It's us. And so we have to make sure to save this world for tomorrow for all of the us's so that we can continue to live happy lives with clean water and air and, making sure that the future is better than the today, which for the first time, there's a chance that that might not be the case, and that's really scary. So women say, no new fossil fuels. No new fossil fuels?
No new fossil fuels.
No new? No new? No new? No new? No new? Yes. And women also demand a Green New Deal. Women demand? Women demand? Women demand? Women demand? Thank you all so much for coming. Keep up the fight.
Thank you so much. Emira Woods, originally from Liberia. Emira Woods is a consultant, strategist, researcher, and advocate specializing in social impact and innovation. Emira is a member of the International Working Group for Africans Rising, a network of African social movements working. She has served as Director of Social Impact at ThoughtWorks, a global technology firm where she led efforts to bring more robust tech solutions to the Ebola crisis. Prior to that, Ms. Woods worked at the Institute for Policy Studies as, yes, woohoo, as Director of Foreign Policy and Focus. She was an undergrad in political science at Columbia University and her graduate studies in political economy and government at Harvard. Everyone, Emira Woods.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Oh, it feels so amazing to be here with all of you. We turned around the corner and I saw all of you gathered here and I thought, wow. On the first day where we have to wear our winter coats and bundled up, you came. You put your bodies on the line. You're here. You're standing for a future that the world demands. So you all, I guess I'm just here to say thank you. To say keep going. We're just beginning, right? We know the statistics are grim. We saw a report just yesterday that pointed out that 150 million people will be living in communities underwater because of rising sea levels in a very short period of time. And we say that that's the future, but we know that's happening already today. In Liberia and in many other communities around the world, you have particularly small communities where marginalized people have been stripped of their political power, have been pushed to the brink, and are now already facing their communities already, their houses already underwater. You have the spread of the desert because of the climate change, and of course we see the wildfires all over California and other parts of the world. Typhoons in Mozambique that are killing millions, 2 typhoons just this year alone. You have to recognize that across this planet, people's lives are in danger today. Not 11 years from now, as the climate scientists tell us, right? So just imagine how it will be then. We must use all our energies to gather all of our power to say enough is enough. This climate catastrophe was caused by the fossil fuel industry seeking greed, seeking power, rendering communities, rendering women and their children invisible. We have to say enough is enough. We are here to demand an end to fossil fuel investment, to demand solutions that will be about renewable energy that will bring clean jobs, good jobs, with fair wages to laborers all over this planet that need it. So when we say we demand a Green New Deal, it means we need an economy that works for all, not just the 1%. It means that for far too long, black and brown communities in this country and around the world have been pushed to the brink, have been stripped of their economic power, have been stripped of their political power. We are here to say no more. What are we here to say? No. What are we here to say? No. What are we here to say? No. We demand, those beautiful words of June Jordan. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So we ask you to dig deep into your heart. Somebody asked me yesterday, who are your climate warrior heroes? I thought of Jane Fonda, of course. Yeah, I thought also of Wangari Maathai, right? Greta, the phenomenal young dynamic woman, right? And young women all around leading climate marches. But I also thought of my grandmother. My grandmother planted a tree for each of her children when they were born, and there were 9. Each of her children. And she knew the power of nature to ignite, to inspire, to protect, to feed. Right? Indigenous communities around this world have that knowledge. They know. They've been protecting this planet for centuries. So we have to join forces with them. Tell the truth. Organize. Register to vote. Right? Participate in the impeachment. Understand that it is powerful, dynamic women who are already here in Capitol. That squad there. Right? We've got to stand behind them. They are bold, courageous women leaders, visionary, progressive leaders who are demanding political and economic change. So we are here today to say thank you for being here. Join hands next Friday. Bring a couple friends. Each one, bring one, right? Right? Together, we can be the change that the world so desperately needs. So what do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Climate justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Power to the people. Power to the people.
Go, Emira. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Eve Ensler now. Eve Ensler has done something that I don't think any other artist ever in history has done. Eve is an author, a playwright, and an activist. She wrote a play called The Vagina Monologues. And it moved from Broadway across the United States on campuses all over the country. And tens of thousands of women performed in it, and were radicalized. And then it moved all around the world, literally. Hundreds and hundreds of countries, thousands and thousands of cities. It became a global movement to stop violence against women, and it raised tens of millions of dollars to support local efforts around the world to stop violence against women. Now, that would have been enough for most artists, but learning from the United Nations that 1 billion women worldwide experience sexual assault and rape during their lifetime, she created 1 Billion Rising. Again, this is a global movement where in hundreds of countries, thousands of cities, people rise up singing and dancing to demand the end to violence against women. 1 Billion Rising. She is a phenomenon who has turned her own wounds into becoming a warrior. She is a warrior for the climate and for nonviolence. Please welcome Eve Ensler.
Thank you, Jane. Good morning, everyone. I just want to take a moment to honor the amazing Jane Fonda for what she's done, for what she's created. And all my sisters who are here today and all my sisters and brothers who come this morning. This is such a critical time. And if you'll bear with me, I wrote a book called The Apology recently where I wrote a letter from my father to myself apologizing for the abuse he had done to me. And when I got finished, I realized I had an apology to make. And I'm going to offer it to you this morning because I truly believe unless we see the earth, unless we love the earth, unless we pay attention to the earth, we will not fight with our lives to protect her. So I'm making an offering for you. It's my apology to Mother Earth. Dear Mother, it began with the article about the birds, the 2.9 billion missing North American birds, the 2.9 billion birds that disappeared and no one noticed, the sparrows, blackbirds, and swallows who didn't make it, who were never born, who stopped flying or singing or making their most ingenious nest, who didn't perch or peck their gentle beaks into moist black earth. It began with the birds. Hadn't we even commented in June, James and I, that they were hardly here? A kind of eerie quiet had descended, but later they came back. The swarms of barn swallows and the huge ravens landing on the gravel one by one. I know it was after hearing about the birds that afternoon I crashed my bike, suddenly falling, unable to prevent the catastrophe ahead, unable to find the brakes or make them work, unable to stop the falling. I fell and spun, and I realized I had already been falling, that we have been falling, all of us, crows and conifers and ice caps and expectations, falling and falling, and I wanted to keep falling. I didn't want to be here to witness everything falling and missing and bleaching and burning and drying and disappearing, choking and never blooming. I didn't want to live without birds or bees or sparkling flies that light the summer skies. I didn't want to live with hunger that turned us feral or desperation that gave us claws. I wanted to fall and fall into the deepest, darkest ground and be finally still and buried there. But Mother, you had other plans. The bike landed in grass and dirt and bang, I was 10 years old, fallen in the road, my knees scraped and bloody. And I realized that even then nature was something cruel and foreign, something I could and would hurt me because everything I had ever known or loved that was grand and powerful and beautiful became foreign and cruel and eventually hurt me. Even then I already had been exiled, or so I felt, forever cast out of the forest. I belonged with the broken, the contaminated, the dead. Maybe it was the sharp pain in my knee and elbow or the dirt embedded in my new jacket. Maybe it was the shock or the realization that death was preferable to the thick tar of grief coagulated in my chest. Or maybe it was just the lonely rattling of the spokes of the bicycle wheel still spinning without me. Whatever it was, it broke. It broke. I heard the howling. Mother, I am the reason the birds are missing. I am the cause of salmon who cannot spawn and the butterflies unable to take their journey home. I am the coral reef bleached death white and the sea boiling with methane. I am the millions running from the lands that have dried, forests that are burning, or islands drowned in water. I didn't see you, Mother. You were nothing to me. My trauma made arrogance and ambition drove me to that cracking, pulsing city, chasing a dream, tracing the prize, the achievement that would finally prove I wasn't bad or stupid or nothing or wrong. Oh, my mother, what contempt I had for you. What did you have to offer that would give me status in the marketplace of ideas and achieving? What could your bare trees offer but the staggering aloneness of winter or a greenness I could not receive or bear? I reduced you to weather, an inconvenience, something that got in my way, dirty slush that ruined my overpriced city boots with salt. I refused your invitation, scorned your generosity, held suspicion for your love. I ignored all the ways we used and abused you. I pretended to believe the stories of the fathers who said you had to be tamed and controlled, that you were out to get us. I press my bruised body down on your grassy belly, breathing me in and out. I have missed you, Mother. I have been away so long. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I am made of dirt and grit and stars, rivers, skin, bone, leaf, whiskers, and claws. I am part of you, of this, nothing more, nothing less. I am mycelium, petal, pistil, and stamen. I am branch and hive and trunk and stone. I am what has been here and what is coming. I am energy and I am dust. I am wave and I am wonder. I am an impulse and I am order. I am perfumed peonies and the single parasol tree in the African savanna. I am lavender, dandelion, daisy, dahlia, cosmos, chrysanthemum, pansy, bleeding heart, and rose. I am all that has been named and unnamed, all that has been gathered and all that has been left alone. I am all your missing creatures, all the sweet birds never born. I am daughter, I am caretaker, I am fierce defender, I am griever, I am bandit, I am baby, I am supplicant. I am here now, Mother. I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. Let us rise for our mother, women, our bodies are her body is our body. What is done to us is done to her. We must give our lives now to protect her. Thank you all.
I'm sorry. Hi. I was going to say that, but okay, let me see. Oh, sorry. They invite me in. All right. Before I invite Asali up to the stage, which is very exciting for me, I'll say, Eve, thank you so much for that because, you know, I was crying too. I think we all should be. How can you not? Made me think of my family and that I have a son who's 20 and I want to see all those things with him. I want him to see all those things. I want grandchildren. I want them to see those things. And it's up to us, you know. So we're here now, and I'll just share something about my father. My father was born in the mountains of North Carolina and in 1928. He's no longer here, but he is in every bit of nature that I experience. Hi, Jane.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
Hi, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
Mwah.
I got to be friends with this woman. Duh. So he was, I would say he was my mentor with learning to love nature. And I'll never leave that. And, he just could stare at birds all day. And he worked his fingers to the bone into his 80s, delivered mattresses. I know one day, I knew my dad had never seen a whale. And I was just walking along the beach in California. And I saw all these whales. I was up very early and I was walking, and I must have seen 30 whales. And so I called my dad, and as soon as I heard him, I just started blubbering, thank you for giving me nature. There are whales, Dad, there are whales. Anyway, and he understood. And anytime I see a butterfly or a beetle, I always think he's around. And I think he's around today. So thank you, Dad and dads. Thank you so much. That's all. Okay, now I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. That is my privilege, by the way, to do. Asali Devon, Ecclesiastes. Yay. As Director of Strategic Neighborhood Development at New Orleans Business Alliance, Asali leads the place-based development of indigenous African American neighborhoods, building partnerships, empowering community leaders, and advancing economic opportunity, cultural preservation, affordable housing, transportation access, and environmental sustainability. Wow. Realized in the New Orleans New Cultural Innovation District. Her life's mission is creating a platform for equitable societal change and social justice for all humanity. So please welcome Asali. Oh, there you are.
Whoa. Good morning. I don't have to ask how y'all are feeling. I feel how y'all are feeling this morning. Thank you for all of this energy, for all of this healing energy, for your attention to something that's so important. And the story that you just told reminded me of a friend of mine, and so I want to just tell her story a little bit. Her name is Michaela Harrison, and she has one of the most divine voices you'd ever hear. And she does stuff, all over South America. And she started a project where she is now singing with the whales. Because when she went to hear the whales sing, she realized, she understood that they were giving a plea. They were giving a plea to humanity to please stop poisoning the earth. And I'm sure the whales are not the only one. We owe it not only to ourselves, but to every living being that God has blessed us to share this space with, to stop it. We have to stop it. Yeah, it's, period. Period. I want to, since we're talking about women today, I want to share a piece with you that has, just so much meaning for me. And today is actually the day. So there's a piece I wrote over 20 years ago called 19 Times about Harriet Tubman. And today, the movie is coming out, Harriet, right? So I need y'all to go see it, and I need you to take on her energy, because what she exemplifies is an unwillingness to quit, an unwillingness to accept injustice in any form, fashion. And I want to give a shout out to the organization Girls Trek, who has been doing amazing work, taking that, over 1,000-mile walk, bringing attention to what it is that Harriet's life was all about. So even though the movie wouldn't get them acknowledgement, we're going to give them some acknowledgement right now.
And if anybody has any change to spare, holla at Girls Trek and keep enabling that work. So I'm going to do 2 pieces for you, and I'm going to start with this. The first time she returned, it was for her man. He refused to go with her when she ran, thought her insubordinate for believing she had a right to her freedom. Since he felt he had his, well, hers could only come between them. Furthermore, his good white folks, they needed him, so he would, of course, stay. But she came back for him anyway, wanted to show him how to turn his love around, but what she found was her replacements in her husband's heart and bed. So she rescued her brothers and sisters instead. They walked with her. They talked with her. They fought with her through woods and rivers and catches with guns. Through cellars, through horseshit, through failing convictions, through 1,258 miles. Through injured feet and fear, through unlimited trials, she led them to the home she prepared and told them they were now free, but only if they dared to be. Then she turned around a second time and went back for her parents. So when I get tired of being in these trenches, I recall my ancestral mother, Harriet's Queen Adaminta Tubman, and her 3rd and 4th times when she dug these ditches, setting up rescue and reconnaissance missions, covert networks into the true axis of evil, unshackling the ankles and the consciousness of her people. And when I get discouraged by the ignorance, the hatred parading as innocence, the racist ideologies which insist and persist, I recall her 5th and 6th times when she showed who had the mastermind, for master's mind could never fathom her plans for travel nor her methods of escape. And when I break in my commitment and start acting like I don't know why I was sent, I recall how her 7th, 8th, and 9th times were spent trying to convince imprisoned psyches they were capable of releasing their chains. She said she could have freed thousands more if only they knew they were slaves. That's why when I'm scolded by the scared, or when chumps so weak they hump their backs when I speak, start shushing me, looking over their shoulders for the police, I pay homage to her 10th, 11th, and 12th times when snitches and slave catchers both bit her bullet, made a $40,000 bounty her whole card, and still couldn't pull it. Not even during her 13th time when they swore they found her weakness, but since her commitment was only to God in the struggle, her weakness didn't exist, it was only a myth. And for every occasion when I'm impatient with children, I bring to mind her 14th, 15th, and 16th times when she served as a constant reminder of the motherhood of God, a relentless fighter, her entire being involved fending off starvation and dogs with her bare hands, determined that even if she had to fall, our children could still stand. And for those infrequent days when I'm just feeling lazy, thoughts of her 17th and 18th journeys bombard me because I know that we who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. Our people are entitled to our best. To offer less is detrimental. We demean ourselves, our past, and our potential. And for those of us who believe the revolution is in our words, well, we're just wrong. Most of us don't even have 19 well-crafted poems. We just don't. We honor not our peers, our elders, nor our ancestors in the craft, pretending like we got masterpieces when it's just rough first drafts. So when I suppose sometimes that I'll stop writing, thoughts of her 19th journey, they hit me like lightning because I know I was born to convince us. If we can't be serious about anything else, we've got to be serious about fighting. Thank you. Give thanks to the Queen Mother, Adaminta. Can I do one more for y'all? Is that all right? And then Sonny's going to come up and just like blow y'all all away. This is light work compared to... I mean, listen, I have no illusions. There are some chasms so deep and so wide. We find it hard to imagine how we'd ever make it safely to the other side. The space between who we are and who we want to be. The gaps that separate our high ideals from our base realities. The difference between what we say and what we really mean. The raging river flowing between what actually happened and our convenient memories. See, the lies we tell ourselves are lakes, overflowing their banks, flooding our speech with waters caustic and rank. And the only bridge is the truth stretching between me and you as we look one another in the eye. But so often that look is filled with our hesitations, and we can't help but glance to the side. See, we've long ago let go of the language with which we describe our softer parts. We learned early that those with softer hearts suffer, so we allow lean emotion to reign, never noticing only strain has been the fruit of our restraints. We haven't escaped pain, and our battle scars are far from faint, yet and still, despite our desire and our willingness to heal, we often find ourselves fighting hard in the paint, holding on to false images of everything we ain't. So while our dreams coincide, our fears collide, and we want to know one another, but think that we can't. The gulf between empathy and equity is unfathomable as the fissures lining our collective integrity. And we spend eternal eternities trying to twist that into virtue. Perhaps you have met one or two of the virtuous on your path. There are only very few. And I know that I have from time to time mistaken pretenders for real, yet still make room for the possibility that it's I who's been pretending. Please bear with me, I'm still mending, but I'm no longer bending to the will of my injuries nor my injurers. See, I much prefer to stretch my arms like newts until I become the sky. I'd rather stretch my tongue with truth, our bridge to cross when we look one another in the eye. But the tongue, like the heart, gets tired. The weak make it hard for the strong to stay inspired. Like the lost prevent the found from escaping the mire, and the degraded stop the enlightened from taking us higher. But no matter what you hear from the mouths of these liars, we are one people with one destiny and a common enemy. That's why it really stresses me to see our hearts so tattered, our minds so scattered, our egos so easily flattered. We are enslaved, yet think of our shackles as gifts. Rather than resist our masters, we let them widen our rifts like mindless material junkies. We seek that which lowers, not lifts. But somewhere in our midst lives a paradigm shift. Justice is getting restless in its chains. Our youth find it useless to separate their souls from their brains. Their truth is ingrained, their integrity sustained. Look into the eyes of our beautiful children. They serve as our examples. Those who daily give their all, yet their reserves are still ample. Those who battle friend and foe, yet their hope is never trampled. They make music never sample, and the world's ugly could never cancel the fullness and the sweetness of their composition, nor the unadulterated truth of their mission. We have to be quiet sometimes and listen. Close our eyes and pray for the humility and the guidance to follow them to the way. Thank you.
Holy shit. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to introduce Sonny Patterson. Yeah, Sonny. Yes.
It's all right.
Is it all right? I'm going to introduce Sonny Patterson. She's nice for the day. Sorry. Sonny began her career as a full-time high school teacher, and much of her life since has been devoted to serving as a cultural worker and grassroots activist, using art and poetry to encourage dialogue and healing. She has been a featured performer at many of the nation's premier spoken word venues, including HBO's Deaf Poetry and BET's Lyric Cafe. She's also had the privilege of speaking at the Panifest in Ghana, West Africa, and has collaborated with artists and performers, including Hannibal Lukumbe. Thanks. Kalamu Yasalam. Is that right? Thank you. Sonia Sanchez, Wanda Coleman, Amiri Baraka, Mos Def, Eve Ensler, The Last Poets, and so many more. That's enough? And so many others.
I
don't even know where they find that. I don't think that's even what I sent, but we make it up as we go sometimes. I'm so inspired. Hearing the words and feeling the words. That's one thing. I remember reading in The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, said that one word is composed of two actions. And that's one is reflection and the other is action. And if one suffers, then the other has to suffer as well. So I give thanks for a space that has been provided that allows us to explore words in both our reflections and also in our actions. So I'm from a little town, little magical kind of town called New Orleans. And I will begin how we normally begin anything in New Orleans, and that is by honoring our ancestors. Great ancestors, you are breath, you are bridge, you carry us over tumultuous time. You who can hear and answer with quick remedy, you are ready before we ask. You who can speak through tongues of trees and fire and water, this earth cannot hold you. We pound the ground and you appear, O ancient ones. You who can make lightning strike with the flick of a skirt. You who can make tornado turn with the spin and span of hips, take us there to the place of knowing, to the hall that leads to the doorway of you, O holy ones. You of the first light. You who know the potential of possibility pulsing in the dark, deliver us unto our gifts. You who have sunlight in your fingertips, touch our drums, make us hear the rising, make us move a steady stump, a choir of voices so majestic, heaven hides us in a tapestry of light. Oh, we are stars, blankets of wonder, sky bright eyes, seeing the invisible, visible. You who have returned, you have turned our faces so that we see ourselves, and we have found you again in places we would have never imagined. You make our limits infinitely long. Our vision is clearer with eyes closed, and even there, you still stand in full color, vibrant and eager to serve. The people gather. They hear that call. They hear that akko ben blow. They hear that drum. They know the time has come to stand and resist, standing shoulder to shoulder, knowing that we will win. They take our lives at the drop of a dime, and don't expect us to fight. Lord, just sit and be quiet while outside it's a riot. But them tables are turning, and that big house is burning, and them ancestors calling, saying, move and don't stop. And although they fill our flesh with fire and lead, they'll take one look inside these eyes, see, no, we ain't scared, no, I know we ain't scared, no, we ain't scared, no, we ain't scared, no, we ain't scared, no. We have not always found comfort in killers. We have not always found solace being rocked in the bosoms of those who silently pray and then openly destroy. No, not always have we mistaken mimicry for mastery, or pretending for knowing, or enslavement for freedom. But across my memory marches millions, bold, regal, resilient, confident, unshackled feet stumping up spirits to guide us through this fickle material world. We like sun and moon folk, universal souls praying our prayers and singing our songs. Eshu, Ogun, Shango, Yemoja, Oshun, Obatala, Oya, Dambala, Aida, Wedora, Nkango, Olodumare, and Yame. We know all of you by our name. We are people of beginnings, of culture, of strength. Not always have we given in to the empty threats and scare tactics of the powerless ones. Not always have we allowed the blood of our sons and daughters to color the streets while we're walking asleep, marching to the beat of death siren song. They're still wearing their sheets, nooses in reach, showing their teeth and then smiling, it seems. But I hear in the breeze, in the rustle of the trees, in the dangling of the feet, they say, please, please don't let them ever forget. You see, not always have we suffered from amnesia. Not always have we forgotten how to conjure up spirit, ancestor. Not always have we forgotten how to conjure up spirit, ancestor wisdom, ancient Egypt. Oh my gosh. This always does something to me. It does something to me because it's quite often that we forget the power that we have. We'll get to the poem in a second. We forget the power that we forget this power. And it's so often that it's a deliberate kind of forgetting. So this is for us too. So when I'm saying this word forgive, we're in the space now where forgive is like the F word. It's a bad word. It's the other F word. So when we're saying forgive, I will offer this definition of forgiveness, which is I'm for giving up an old notion of myself in order to gain a new perspective. So what does that mean for us? What does that mean to forgive and forget? What does it mean to put power in our hands? What does it mean to say that I will do away with this archaic, oppressive definition of what forgiveness is and put myself and put my people first? What does that mean? What does it mean for us? What does it mean, as we have heard, to look one another in the eyes and say, oh my God, look at you. Look at how grand you are. Look at how beautiful you are. Look at the power that is reigning over you. You're cloaked in power. You're cloaked in wisdom. You're cloaked in beauty. You're cloaked in grace. What does it mean for us now to look at one another and go beyond what it is that we're seeing? Go beyond this thing. What does it mean now to drop our skin, drop our bones, and spread our wings and fly? Woo! Can we do that? Yeah. Is this something too far-fetched for us? No. I'm so optimistic. I'm a Pisces too, so that could mean something. But I'm optimistic. I believe that we can do it. When we're talking about preservation, when we're talking about truly what it means to preserve our souls, what it means to move and walk and still have some kind of happy in a space that is deliberately trying to kill us. Can we truly plant our feet and say, no more? No more, and truly mean it. Not like, well, I mean it today, but not tomorrow. I might not have. Tomorrow might be I resist today, but tomorrow, I'm not my best self. I'm urging you. It is a plea. The earth is saying, we've heard this. Eve told us, here, I am made of this. All of these things that we are made of. But now here's the real question. Do we truly believe that? Yes. Do we truly believe it? And do we truly love ourselves? These are all words. We hear this. Sometimes this is nothing. This can fly in the wind. But what I also know is yet again what we are made up of. What I feel, what I believe wholeheartedly and truly that we can win. Not can, but will. And then not will, but are. We are winning. Every moment, every day, every step, every move we make, it's a step in the direction of oneness and of winning. I believe that. We can fix up a mixture. I'm back to the poem. Spiritual elixir, ancient traditions. We like magicians, God-like vision. We are people of beginnings, of culture, of strength. Not always have we given in to the empty threats and scare tactics of the powerless ones. Not always have we allowed the blood of our sons and daughters to color the streets while we're walking asleep, marching to the beat of death siren song. They're still wearing their sheets, nooses in reach, showing their teeth and then smiling, it seems. But I hear in the breeze, in the rustle of the trees and the dangling of the feet. They say, please, please don't let them ever forget you. See, not always have we suffered from amnesia. Not always have we forgotten. I'm going to leave it there, because not always have we forgotten. This is now a time to remember, in the fullest sense of the word. Remember how to put ourselves back together again. How to put and how to help others do the same. How to walk this earth with meaning, with intention, with true love. True love. This is the realest weapon. Love is the weapon. Love is the weapon and the solution. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else is an illusion. But if I'm able to look at you and say, oh my God, I love you. Not some whimsical kind of love. Not some, oh, it's fleeting here, it's gone to, no, but a real love that allows us to remember. A real love that allows me to truly forgive. Back to the F word. Not forgive where I'm not holding you accountable. Not forgive where you are not responsible. But what it means to give up an old notion so that we can move in this world anew. I believe we can do it. I know we can do it. Do you believe it? Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I love you. So please, everyone, welcome the award-winning activist musicians who used to be based in D.C. and are joining us from fiery Oakland, California. Please welcome Pat Humphries and Sandy Apatow. Emma's Revolution.
Thank you. Check one, check. How you doing? We're going to have sound in a minute thanks to these amazing men, John and Rodney. Give them a round of applause and thanks.
Great to be with you here. It's great to be back in the nation's capital. You always come from. I'm Emma.
I'm the revolution.
I'm not really Emma. We're named for Emma Goldman because she said, in essence, if I can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution. That sounded like the right revolution to be part of.
So I'm really Sandy O, and she's really Pat Humphries. We're so thrilled to have Kristen Arant joining us, a friend of ours for just such a long, wonderful time. And really, you are the revolution. Are you getting that? You are the revolution. You've heard from all these wonderful women about how much we need to be part of this and to bring another one next week, and maybe another next week. And we do come to you from California, Oakland, California these days, where, yes, I see you, where the air is toxic across California. The kind of toxic that can make animals and people sick and die. And the air in this building behind us has been toxic for so long. We sang at the first climate demo when we first started to call it global warming. That was 19 years ago, 18 years ago. And before that, 2 decades before that, Jimmy Carter had solar panels on the roof. And if we had not had the toxic air of corporate bought-off politicians who are being bought off by the fossil fuel industry, right? Who are being bought off by Big Pharma, right? who are being bought off by white supremacists, right? Who are being bought off by misogynists, who are being bought off by racist and just hate-filled people. But we are here to put out the fire of hate. We are here to put out these fires of all sorts that are killing us. So that's going to be your part in this song. We have words up here because we just wrote this last night.
For you.
The kind of last night that's also still called this morning. You know, that kind of last night. And so your part, you're going to sing, put out the fire. Try that. Put out the fire. Sometimes it'll go down, put out the fire, down like that. Put out the fire. And then it'll say, put out the fire.
Put out the fire.
And then we'll sing those words that so many people have been saying in so many ways. And so many young people are now taking up this call because activists like Takata Iron Eyes and Greta Thunberg have said, our house is on fire. And you're going to sing that.
Our house is on fire.
You got it.
Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Our house is on fire. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
We love you.
We hear you. We commit to change our ways, not later, but sooner, right now, for our future.
Youth can't wait.
Put out the fire.
Climate can't wait.
Put out the fire.
Planet can't wait.
Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
For our children.
Put out the fire.
And their children.
Put out the fire.
And their children.
Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
For songbirds.
For clean air.
For the oceans and the bays. Not later, but sooner.
But sooner.
Right now, right now.
For our future.
Melting glaciers.
Put out the fire.
Rising seas.
Put out the fire.
Melting coral.
Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
Shrinking shorelines.
Put out the fire.
Sinking islands.
Put out the fire.
Growing dry land.
Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
Let bees live.
Let trees grow.
Let the snow fall where it may. Not later,
Not later,
but sooner.
but sooner.
Right now.
Right now. For the future.
Right now.
For the future. Right now. For the future.
We are here to.
Put out the fire.
Time is now to.
Put out the fire.
This is how we.
Put out the fire. Our house is on fire.
Thank you so much. You're all hired to be on the recording of that song. We have one more song to sing with you. You're gonna. Old neighbors, old friends, this is the best way to do a demo. And if you do as many as we do, your friends are all across the country, sustainably traveled. So we definitely come back. What are you going to do next Friday? How many people are you bringing with you? 1, 5, 10, 15. Yes. This is an amazing project. We're honored to be here. Yes.
And then you'll also be gathering at the White House at 16th and H every day between November 2nd and the 11th from noon to 6 to remove Trump. And that. Let's do that. Shall we?
At that demo, You can sing a parody that I wrote. You know that song, Unforgettable? But now you can sing it, So Impeachable. It's on the internet. You can get the words. You sing it next week.
You can go to emmasrevolution.com, or you can you can find it on YouTube.
All right. Oh, I do. I have words. So, people, this is how we do it. We write a song, and then we look at what you are saying. That's why signs are important. That's why you're important. Do you feel important? Do you feel strong and full of love? Do you feel ready to create clean air, to bring the songbirds back if we can, to do everything we can to create a world for our future and our children?
Sing with us. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back.
Keep on loving boldly.
Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Never turning back. Never turning back. Climate change is real. Climate change is real. Climate change is real. Never turning back. Never turning back. No new fossil fuels. No new fossil fuels. No new fossil fuels. Never turning back. Never turning back. Green New Deal now. Green New Deal now. Green New Deal now. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. 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 Never turning back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for being out here.
Thank you. Emma's Revolution. Yes. Do you know that last week 100,000 people watched Fire Drill Friday live stream? So I'm going to ask our live streaming camera to show all of you and give a shout out to our brothers and sisters around the world that are watching. Yes. This is a global crisis, and it's going to take a global effort to stop it. But we in the United States have to set an example. You know, people say, well, why should we do all this work? Because it's China or it's India. And in India and China and elsewhere, they say, well, why should we bother? Because look what the United States is doing. They're not doing anything. What we have to do is unprecedented. It has never happened in human history. We came close with the New Deal. The New Deal put tens of millions of people back to work, but they left out African Americans. They largely ignored women and farmers. So the Green New Deal is going to do more than the New Deal did. It's going to bring everyone to a fair playing field. We're gonna make it happen. But to make it happen, as has been said over and over today, we have to demand that the fossil fuel company leave all new oil and gas in the ground. Now think what that means. Tens of trillions of dollars of unexploited fossil fuel in the ground. They're not going to want to do that. We're going to have to make them. And no matter who we elect to office, no matter how good she is, we're going to have to hold the president's feet to the fire, and the Senate and the Congress and governors and state legislators all the way down the ticket. We have to vote for brave people who understand what's at stake. It's going to be very hard. We have to get used to coming out to rallies and events like this. We have to get used to filling the streets. Even the scientists say if we're going to do it, it means mobilizing people on an unprecedented level all over the country. I want to remind people that they can join our Thursday teach-in at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Fire Drill Friday, when we go into more depth on each issue. Next week, it's the military, war, and climate change. And among the people that are going to be here, Ben and Jerry's, as in the ice cream, they're going to be participating. And I want to invite you all now to walk over to the Hart Building, enter the Senate Rotunda, and join us in civil disobedience. Thank you very much.
give up on your copyrights and stuff?
Take care of it.
Sorry about that.
Instead of having it for profit. Right.
I guess that's why it's going to take a lot of time. I feel like a real pro.
The investment. Yeah, it was Or, well, it's Rocky's idea.
What's taking you so long?
I know, right. No, it was actually Hollywood. It was Oh, originally. You guys are such pros.
What should we say?
Are we allowed?
We shall overcome. I'm in. Women. I'm in. How about this is your land? We say? How does that say? How about 9 to 5? What a way to make a living. Dolly Parton. Okay.
This land is your land, this land is my land.
From
California to New York Island, from running this land was made by you and me. It's all right. Beautiful steep. By the way, when I saw you, I don't know too many people that can do that. She's one of them. Oh, you'd have to have. I'm not sure who does it. How are you? You're both pretty good. Hello, Barbara. Hello. I'm Barbara. Hi, I'm Vanessa. Barbara's from California. Oh. From the small hills. Whereabouts? Well, I live in San Francisco, but I used to live in Sebastian. Oh, yes, good. She must suffer. That's good. Oh, her hip. Oh, that's right, her knee. Yeah. Right. She got shoulder. Yeah, that's what it is. So the cop at the other line, when we came through the door, said, he said, is Jean Fonda coming through here? I said, no, I said, she's going to. And I said, but she's going to be here about 14. You know, I said, well, I said, oh, I'd really like to see her. And I told him it was Oceans. I said, next week is going to be war. Yeah, and I said, he was so excited. He was all excited. He wanted to see the cop. One of the arrested, the But he said, no, she's really committed. This is really committed. I said, yeah, because I said, we're wondering what's going to happen. I said, this is going to be like, what time did they say? You know, this is it. So, yeah, he was really
There you go.
right. Pass the test. Just know there's a security man here because he really would like to meet you. He was disappointed. He was so disappointed. He saw the sure. This Jean coming through here. He said, you're very committed. He said, you're very committed. Was it your parents? Yeah. Yeah. When I have a little party, for a few weeks. Weeks, years.
So you do plan on getting arrested today, Ms. Fonda?
Correct.
Okay.
And I've been given a court date, so this time I may be held overnight, and that's fine.
Will your fellow actresses be joining you?
We'll see. I think so.
Do you feel this is the right way for your cause, to fight for your cause, coming here
Well,
every
there's many
Friday?
ways to fight, but this is, I'm inspired by the students, by Greta Thunberg, and by the young students all over the world, and I'm trying to stand in solidarity with them, help lift their message, help lift the sense of urgency, and I think, you know, you all are here, so I guess it's working. You know, I'm a celebrity, so this is a way for me to use my celebrity and get the message out that we are facing a crisis that could determine whether or not our children and our grandchildren have a future that's even habitable. You know, we just read the other day that there are experts in California saying that parts of California may be uninhabitable. That's in California, right? And I won't live to see if we succeed or not 11 years from now, but I have grandchildren and I want to be sure that there are still birds and trees and polar bears and whales and other species that they can enjoy the way I have in my long life, and whether human beings can inhabit this planet. And we have 11 years to turn it around. And we're going to have to be very brave and very united and very determined. And this is, we're just getting used to it. We're going to be arrested much more. We're going to fill the streets much more. We're going to close down the government if necessary. Depending on who we elect, we have to hold their feet to the fire. And even if they're really great, we're going to have to hold their feet to the fire. And that may mean getting arrested over and over and over again and putting our bodies on the line the way the indigenous people in Canada do. They've stopped pipelines just with their bodies standing in the way, and we can do that. We should take our inspiration from the people who've been telling us how to live in harmony with the earth for hundreds of years. We haven't listened. We have to start listening now. That's why we call out our indigenous brothers and sisters for their help and their respect and their willingness to still stand by us and teach us, right? Yes.
Mrs. Fonda, you've spoken about women's rights. Do you have any remarks to make on Katie Hill's departure?
I'm talking about climate here.
Climate justice now.
Except that where she comes from is on fire. And she is a very brave person. So whether she's here or back in Santa Clarita in her district, I know she's going to make a difference. And that she also will fight for climate justice wherever she is.
And how much longer do you plan to be here? How many more weeks will you be here?
I'll be here till middle of January when I have to start preparing for Grace and Frankie. But don't be surprised if this doesn't spread around the country. I'm certainly going to try to take it with me to California.
What's your message for any young people that want to get involved with civil disobedience?
There's the Sunrise movement. There's the Fridays for the Future. There are so many movements of young people. So many Earth Guardians to join, or join with the grandmas, join with older people like me, but young people are the inspiration that's moving us forward. And you know what's really interesting? Greta Thunberg was so traumatized when she realized the crisis that's barreling towards us, and the fact that people weren't behaving the way they should in a crisis, that she was traumatized and stopped speaking and eating, and got very sick. And you know what brought her out of it? The students at Parkland. Their courage, their activism made her say, hey, I can put myself on the line too. And, you know, I think every single person here can testify to the fact that activism lifts you up out of depression. gives you hope, right?
Yes. For
So-
sure.
What do the older people do?
Huh? Nobody's older than me here, I bet. I'm going to be 82 soon, and I think
I'm
I'll
85.
Celebrate. All right.
Yay.
Give me a hug. Come here. Come here. I thought I was the oldest. Shucks.
The old bird.
The old birds. Oh, 85. We'll be. I'm 82. You're 85. How much longer will we die? 100. Yeah. Okay.
She goes everywhere.
Because we have to stay healthy.
Barbara, turn around so I can take a picture.
Okay.
All right, nice picture.
Thank you.
That's great.
Ms. Fonda, do you?
Every one of us can do more. Every industry, including Hollywood, can do more, and we will. It's a ripple effect. It was Standing Rock. It was Greta. It was all of the different movements that have been standing up against climate change. And then they inspire us, and then we'll inspire other people, and little by little, all of us are going to be in the streets, right? Yes! All of us are going to put our bodies on the line, right? The scientists are saying, even the scientists are saying, for us to achieve what we have to achieve in 11 years, it's going to require massive social mobilization on an unprecedented scale. And that's what we have to do. It's what forced Roosevelt to do the New Deal back in the 30s. Mass movements in the streets demanding. And he said to them, I agree with you. Now go out and make me do it. So we have to go out and make them do it. And we're just getting used to it. We're just beginning to work our muscles in the resistance sector.
Yes. Congress would support them. People made Congress would support them in the New Deal. We had to do it.
Socialists, I'll tell you what socialism is. The fact that taxpayers spend $16 billion a year to subsidize the fossil fuel industry. That's socialism.
Corporate welfare's got to end.
Ms. Fonda, do you face?
That's right.
Ms. Fonda, do you face a night in jail if you get arrested today because you've had multiple arrests?
Oh my God, maybe I'll be buggered. Oh, what will I do? Yes, I probably will go to jail tonight. It will not be the first time, and I am prepared to do that. And maybe I won't. It's kind of arbitrary. I don't know, but I was told that if I got arrested before my court date, I would probably go to jail for one night. Big deal.
What's your message to any Republican lawmakers about the president?
Think about your grandchildren, your children. Think about the future. They will look back and say, well, what did you do, Daddy or Granddaddy, to make a future that's livable? Look yourself in the mirror. Don't you want to feel proud that you did whatever you could to create a livable future for your children and grandchildren? I know I do. I have a 3-month-old grandchild. Back in California. I hated to leave him, but I'm fighting for his future.
And he's a newborn baby in the smoke and fire right now in California. Okay?
Do you have any special guests, any other special guests planned in the weeks ahead?
Well, next weekend is Ben and Jerry. Ice cream, and they're bringing ice cream. And Diane Lane is going to be coming, and Kira Sedgwick is going to be coming, and Mark Ruffalo is going to be coming, and Dolores Huerta, and Reverend Barber, and all kinds of people are going to be joining.
Are you happy with what you've heard from the presidential candidates?
Some of them. I think some of them have the level of courage that it's needed, but we're not endorsing anybody. Is that?
You said whoever she is, you have a preference.
I'm keeping my preferences to myself. Suffice to say that it's too late for moderation. You know, if we had started 30 years ago when the science was known, the fossil fuel industry knew what they were doing because their scientists told them, and they lied, and they kept it from us. But if we had started phasing out of fossil fuel then, we could have done it in a moderate and incremental way, but because they lied to us, it's too late for moderation now. We have only 11 years, and that means Well, you can call it radical. I think what's radical is not doing anything, because it means that we are throwing away whole parts of the globe to no longer be habitable for human beings. I mean, can we do that? I have a hard time going to sleep when I think of the species that are dying. I mean, 2.9 billion fewer birds in North America since 1970. It's just, it's tragic.
What's the connection between getting arrested and then getting the word out?
What is the connection?
Yeah.
You all show up. Right? It's a way to attract attention, to use celebrity to get the word out. And the word has gone out all over not just this country, but the world. I get the people that watch the live feed of our rally and also our teach-in on Thursday night. They come from all over the world. Yes, Carla makes a good point. Nothing important has happened without civil disobedience. All of our, from Social Security to 8-hour days to outlawing child labor and on and on and on, it all came from people risking being arrested, civil disobedience, people spending long times in jail. And they weren't all famous white people benefiting from white privilege. They were people that were really risking things. I realized that I'm not treated the same way as an African American woman would be who wasn't famous. But you know, this is what I can do, and I feel that I'm inspired by all the people who are much more vulnerable than me. Okay, we're waiting for everybody to get through the security gate to go over to do our civil disobedience.
You sound excited.
Actually, I am.
Yes, you've asked me that before. Yes, I
the mentality regarding climate change.
Getting rid of fossil fuel, phased out over 30 years. Making the changes that are needed equitable, not leaving anyone out, making sure that the vulnerable frontline communities that have been the most exposed to toxic poisons and Superfund dumps and pipelines and fracking that's ruined their water and their air, that those communities are the first to be repaired and healed. I think that's the empathy that's embedded in the Green New Deal, I think, is the most powerful thing. But you know, it's just a framework. It's not policy. Between now and next November, people are working to flesh it out, to put policies in place so that when the new president is elected, they can, right from day one, by executive order, pass these policies that right away will start to help the people that are hurting the most. And that includes fossil fuel workers. You know, they should not be stranded assets. It's not their fault. So we have to be really sure that they're taken care of. Not just with any new job, but union wages that can support themselves in we have forests, we have fresh water, we have mass migration, we have who's to blame and who's to pay. You can say that for so many things. I've never met with children. We're all here. We're all here. Let's stay full. Stay strong, stay courageous. Stand up for right to work. Let's be sure an impromptu press conference.
How many times have you been arrested?
This will be my fourth. So, you see this coat? I needed something red, and so I went out and found this coat on sale. This is the last article of clothing that I'm going to ever buy. To say that I will ever buy in my life may not be much, because we're going to live to 100 maybe when she goes. And Greta has also made me think a lot about consumerism. And I grew up when consumerism didn't have such a stranglehold over us. And so when I talk to people about we don't really need to keep shopping, we shouldn't look to shopping for our identity. We just don't need more stuff. Then I have to walk the talk, so I'm not buying any more clothes. Woohoo! Gives me a lot of free time.
Damn. Excuse me. Great to see you.
Just let us get through. You're going to get all the shots you want. You just need to get into the rotunda, and then you can take every shot you want.
Thank you.
You won't get arrested. I will. They're not going to arrest you. You've got a camera. Let us get into the middle, so then you can get all your shots. All right.
So, again, press, I need you all to get to the side because you are blocking us from being able to get the sides of the room.
Yeah.
Do you know what the sides of the room
Hey, Sam, so just move back, please. We want to get everybody in there to commit the civil disobedience that you want to shoot. But if you're standing here, we can't do it. So could you move back?
Can you move back a little bit more, please? Thank you. If you want to cover it, you got to get people in front of it. Oh, your head, ma'am. Watch out. I'm host, dude. I'm in the front row.
You gotta move back. You gotta move back.
I'd love to. Hey guys, let's move back. From the back. Not from the front. Oh, no pushing.
Oh, that doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, I wonder if she could be upstairs.
Down in front. Down in front.
Close, guys. They can expand the bags. It'll all work out.
Ma'am.
It worked out better if you guys were in the when you get a chance. Yeah, you know, last time 2 cameramen were filmed pushing down 2 women. So we're not going to fuck around.
You can back up a little bit. You can back up a little bit.
Pardon? Oh no, it was an NBC cameraman and an AP photographer. And we have pictures of both of them.
I totally understand. The only thing is I think his Sorry, man. You all right? You okay, dude? You all right? Yeah.
Capitol Police, I need anybody who doesn't want to get arrested to step outside the police perimeter. Capitol Police.
There's the perimeter. Exactly.
Capitol Police.
Where's the perimeter?
Behind me. Capitol Police, if you do not want to get arrested, I need you to step outside the police.
Step outside the perimeter if you do not want to be arrested. That's behind an officer. If you're not behind an officer, you're not outside the perimeter.
This is the United States Capitol Police. You are engaging in unlawful conduct. If you do not cease and desist at this time, you will be arrested. This is your first warning.
Ma'am, can you step back unless you want to get
If you
arrested?
do not want to get arrested, I need you to step outside the police perimeter. Capitol Police.
See, we are moving back and then you put it in front of me. I mean, we are going back. We are going back all day. Straight back, folks.
Couple steps back.
Back, a couple steps back. Come on, good ball. Couple steps back.
Okay, let's go. You guys all right? Great.
Please back up towards the fire pots, please.
Sure.
Please back up towards the fire pots.
Okay.
Flower pots.
Everybody, a couple more steps back.
Yeah. So we got a long lens. You can't see it. show us filming from the camera.
Do me a favor and have you go back out. Give yourself space, slide down.
We want to look for it. Right. To New York Island, to the Gulf Stream water, this land was made for you and me. To the Gulf Stream waters, this land is made for you and me. This land is my land, from California to New York. Karen!
Rosanna is next to Rosanna Arqueta. Catherine Keenan is next to Rosanna Arqueta.
Go Karen! Working America!
No mames. Seriously?
Yeah.
What are you doing? We will be demonstrating.
Excuse me.
What is it?
The charge. Piece of you learned.
You'll have to check with
On the other side.
public information.
What is the charge?
I'll add all the information.
What is the charge right now? The guy who is going to be, the guy who is going to be, he goes no respect. The guy goes in the documentary. Usually they do that.
I know, but it's interesting that they do it.
They go along with the play.
Right. Yeah. Other than this, what else is going on? I was eating Chipotle.
Go, woman!
Hey!
Let's go Nats! Let's go Nats!
Folks, this is still a police line. Make sure you maintain your spot. Folks, this is still police. This is not prosecutors.
Yeah.
Jeff, how you doing?
Oh, that's very good.
It's an honor. It's a higher.
Way better, no?
I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I haven't messed myself up.
Of course, they're going to do Fonda last.
Of course.